Breaking news and trigger warning. The following video will contain information, no footages, of probably the most messed up thing you'll hear about today, tomorrow, or for the remainder of your years on social media. I will not be showing this video for obvious reasons. The ones of us that were stupid enough to actually watch these videos will be followed by these images for the remainder of our days. And I do not wish that on any of you. What I do wish is for the soulless ogres responsible for these actions to be held accountable. And we can do that by doing something very simple. This time it's a hashtag, but not to save a life, but it is to hold them accountable. We need this hashtag to blow up fast and everywhere. You can use it on completely unrelated videos for when it's time to hold them accountable, to freeze their assets, to label them for the terrorists that they are, that the collective digital scream of humanity is heard, and the importance of this matter and this hashtag and the due justice to be served for the victims. Please, my lovelies, get this hashtag trending as fast as possible. And my personal apologies to the Afghan people who escaped one atrocious terrorist organization only to fall in hands of the next in the neighboring country. We will not forget about you. Zan zindagi azadi.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that everybody remembers the story from last week where a 6-year-old brought a pew-pew to school and shot his teacher in the hand and the chest because it was a defense wound. We all remember that, right? So you ready for this? Turns out that somebody had informed school officials that this child had brought a weapon to school. I don't even understand. I have no words for this. At least one administrator was notified of a possible weapon in the timeline we're reviewing and was aware that the student had, that there was a potential that there was a weapon on campus. The police chief has already said that this was an intentional act. And the fact that an administrator knew that there was a weapon in a child's backpack and they did nothing, that's deplorable. So how is the school and Virginia handling this? They're not passing responsible gun laws. No. They have decided that they are going to be installing a metal detector. A metal detector starting in that elementary school, and then metal detectors in all the schools in Virginia. Virginia doesn't care about children. They don't care about teachers. They don't care about women. They just care about guns.
Okay. Better? Okay, coming from CNN.com, a school staffer searched the backpack of a Virginia 6-year-old before shooting. Now the school will install metal detectors. Richneck Elementary School in Virginia will install walk-through metal detectors after officials were alerted last week that a 6-year-old student who allegedly shot his teacher might have had a weapon but failed to find it after a search. Before last week's shooting of a first-grade teacher, school officials were told that the child might have brought a weapon to school, according to Newport News Public Schools Superintendent George Parker. At least one school administrator was notified earlier on January 6th, the day of the shooting, of the possible presence of the weapon. Parker told school families during a town hall meeting on Thursday, according to an email sent to CNN by school district spokesperson Michelle Price. Parker also said that a search of the boy's backpack found nothing. So why was he released to class? A week prior to the shooting, he brought bullets to school. Then you hear that he has a weapon. And instead of being proactive that day, your solution is we're just going to put up metal. You know what? This is why school shootings are an epidemic in this country. Okay. We also have an update on the gallery owner who hosed down a woman who happened to be homeless. Yes, during the wintertime in these temperatures. Let's go.
This video posted on social media of a man spraying water at a homeless woman in San Francisco on Montgomery Street in the Jackson Square area is sparking outrage and backlash. The man is art gallery owner Collier Gwynn. He tells me the video shows only part of what happened.
How I snapped. And that I apologize for tremendously. That's not myself.
Gwynn says the homeless woman first showed up in the area 2 weeks ago. He says he allowed her to sleep in his doorway for 4 days. Gwynn and other area business owners tell me they called police multiple times over her disruptive behavior and that they tried to get her help, but that she refused to leave and refused services.
Pulling her hair, screaming, yelling. She's psychotic. She's hallucinating.
Monday morning, Gwynn says he was cleaning the street with a hose and repeatedly asked her to move and became frustrated when she refused. I asked him if he was sorry his actions were caught on video or that he thought what he did was wrong.
I'm totally sorry that I reacted where I tried to move her and did so in a way that was, not the right way.
The notion of anybody treating another human being like that on our streets is just gut-wrenching and horrible.
Supervisor Aaron Peskin represents that district. He says the homeless woman is known to authorities and neighbors both here in this area and nearby North Beach.
I've been in touch with the police. As far as I'm concerned, this is assault.
The front door of Gwen's business was broken. He says it happened Tuesday afternoon and that it was backlash for spraying water on the homeless woman. He says 3 men he doesn't know came to confront him.
They smashed the window. I'm not surprised. I understand people get outraged when they see things like that.
Supervisor Peskin tells me police are investigating this matter. He says Gwen should face consequences for his actions. A fire department spokesman says a crisis response team on routine patrol was able to engage the homeless woman, which resulted in her accepting city services. In San Francisco, Amber Lee, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
He wasn't reacting. He was cool, calm, and collected. He reminds me of the white people during the 60s that would take hoses to Black people. He was sitting there, legs crossed, leaned up against the fence. He's sorry he got caught on video. He's sorry that more people aren't agreeing with his stance. And the way he was like, well, I let her sleep here for 4 days because, yes, homelessness can be cured in 4 days. Someone can find a place to stay in 4 days. And then villainizing her because of her mental health, her perceived mental health issues. But the ridiculousness keeps on rolling. We got an update on Byron Donald, the man who describes himself using racial tropes. He is the stereotype that just keeps on tap dancing. Let's go.
Stop throwing stones in his glass house. The way he just tells absolute falsehoods with ease is disturbing. Watch this, then I'll show you a 2014 interview he did about his criminal charges.
President of the United States who has the ability, the singular ability as head of the executive branch to declassify information. And he has actually been working with the National Archives about that for 1.5 years.
For someone so quick to inform people of right and wrong, he certainly seems confused about it himself.
People will do anything to maintain power and authority. I think it's wrong.
Byron Donalds won't say who those people are, but blames them for revealing his criminal past. It's been posted on the internet after it was ordered sealed by the courts. A 1997 misdemeanor arrest for distribution of marijuana, and in 2000, a second-degree felony for receiving a bribe. Donald says those claims are inaccurate. He claims he was arrested for possession of pot, not distribution, and the second offense was for theft, not taking a bribe.
15 years ago, I came in contact with a girl. She offered me $1,000 for my debit card and my PIN number, and I gave it to her. I never got the $1,000, but I had to make restitution to the bank in excess of $7,000.
Byron.
Who turns over their debit card and PIN number for $1,000? And who offers, you know what? No, 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 no. But this is the financial genius that wanted to go toe to toe with Joy Reid. Okay. Now, Missouri has decided there must be a dress code for women and women only. Pay close attention.
Breaking news, Republicans in Missouri have banned the right to bear arms. No, literally, like they've literally banned women from the right to show their arms on the House floor. I'm not making this up. The new dress code, which applies only to women, says that any woman who has her arms bare on the House floor is in violation of the rules. There are 111 Republicans in the Missouri House. 94 of them are men. So make no mistake, this is not about dress code. This is about insecure men. You know, and I've said this before, in some parts of the world, women are forced to cover their bodies. In other parts of the world, women are forced to uncover their bodies. It's almost as if the problem isn't women's attire or women at all, but pathetic and insecure men who can't control themselves.
So if you've seen a bunch of clips going around and they're talking, this is specifically what they're talking about. Society is so conditioned to telling women to cover up, to, I've heard a lot of old people say, not be a stumbling block for men, instead of teaching men self-control and to respect boundaries. But we have something speaking on that a little bit later. Trump is having a meltdown regarding the special prosecutor. Take a listen, because there's no way to describe this. Just take a listen.
This prosecutor should resign. He's got a conflict. My prosecutor.
This Jack
His name
Smith.
is Jack Smith. I wonder what his name was before Smith. I don't know. Maybe it was Smith, but it seems like such a nice name, Jack Smith. He is a terrorist. He is a Trump hater. His best friends are Weissman and all of these characters.
Yeah.
Lisa Monaco at the Justice Department, one of the top officials.
Deputy Attorney General.
This is a disgraceful situation. He should resign. His wife hates Trump, probably even beyond him. And his wife has a sister who openly hates it like a level that you can't even believe. And this is the man that's going to give me fair.
Did Trump forget that he was also a white man? Did you catch how he said, this is a white man, he's friends with white men? Like, bruh, you're white. And your wife doesn't like you, but it doesn't stop you from making this, like, women are too emotional to be in office or be the head of anything. But women, we have our emotions in check enough to be in control of our husbands that can be in control of other things. And our control of our husbands control those other things. Make it make sense. Now, from one liar to the next, one grifter to the next, we now have a whole segment on George Santos. There's so... Get a snack. Hell, get a full meal, because this is going to take a minute. Get comfortable, because we just going to rapid fire through these. I'll bounce in and out as need be. Just, yeah.
George Santos, because I need everyone to understand how ridiculous and egregious this situation really is. And at this point, you've probably heard at least some of this story, but just, I'm not even gonna be able to get to everything, and I want you to buckle up. Right, so Santos is a newly elected congressman. He flipped a seat for Republicans in New York, helped them secure their narrow House majority. You know, this guy seemed like a godsend for the Republican Party. He's a bright young 34-year-old, the son of Brazilian immigrants, the grandson of Jewish Holocaust survivors, the first openly gay Republican to win a House seat as a non-incumbent. He's a self-made man who beat all the odds after being forced to leave one of New York's best private schools because his family couldn't afford it. He instead attends public college. He marches forward. He's still able to become a successful financier and investor working for some of the top firms in the world. And that ain't all. He has a big heart, soft spot for cute, fuzzy animals. His animal rescue charity saved more than 2,500 dogs and cats. Except, as it turns out, all of that is total bullshit. Once again, doesn't even touch on all the lies. Right, so toward the end of December, before Santos was even sworn in, the New York Times published an absolute nuke of an investigation that indicated large chunks of his resume were just made up. Right, specifically, the Times reported that the leading financial firms, Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, where he claimed to have worked, had no record of his employment. Also, Baruch College, where he said he graduated in 2010, had no record of anyone with that name and birthday graduating that year. The same was true for records of his attendance at NYU, where he had allegedly done a stint, according to his biography on the National Republican Congressional Committee website. The Times also found almost no evidence that his animal rescue rescue charity Friends of Pets United was a tax-exempt organization, and the IRS didn't have any records of a charity registered with that name. And beyond that, the outlet claimed that Santos hadn't listed any of the 13 properties he had bragged his family owned on his financial disclosures for his most recent campaign, as well as an earlier failed campaign. And reporters couldn't even find any evidence those properties existed. They also couldn't find any public assets belonging to Santos's self-described family firm, the DeVolder organization, despite the fact that Santos said that the Capital Introduction Consulting Company managed $80 million in assets. And he also didn't provide any information about clients on financial disclosures as required by law. That also doesn't even touch on a bunch of other financial-related sketchiness, like where he got enough money to loan $700,000 to his own campaign when he reported earning $55,000 in 2020, as well as his employment at a company accused of operating a Ponzi scheme. Also, while something he technically didn't lie about, the Times brought up information that voters should probably know about their own congressman, or things like how Brazilian court records show that he was charged with fraud after confessing that he stole the checkbook of a man that his mom was caring for and made fraudulent purchases. Once again, there is so much more. I'll link down to the investigation and other articles, because remember, that investigation was just the beginning and shit just kept snowballing after that, with several outlets including The Forward and CNN looking into Santos's claim that his mother's parents were Jews who fled persecution in Ukraine, survived the Holocaust, and eventually settled in Brazil, instead finding zero evidence of Jewish ancestry. In fact, genealogy websites reviewed by those outlets found that his mother's parents' grandparents were born in Brazil and have no Ukrainian or Jewish roots. CNN also reporting that a spokesperson for the esteemed private school he claimed he had been forced to leave because of financial problems had no record of his attendance. Beyond that, the Daily Beast found court records that show Santos, who again centered his campaign on his identity as a proud, openly gay Republican, failed to tell the public that he had been married to a woman until 2019, with his divorce reportedly only finalized 12 days before his first congressional run in 2020. While the congressman says that he's now married to a gay man, his partner has been largely kept out of the public eye, even during major events like Santos's swearing in. The Daily Beast also not able to find a marriage record for him in New York. And then in addition to all of that, you have people calling into question claims that he's made, like his mom was a groundbreaking executive who died as a result of 9/11. He also claimed having employees that died in the Pulse nightclub shooting. And as far as what Santos has had to say, he has copped to some of the lies, with him reportedly telling the New York Post at the end of last month, "My sins here are embellishing my resume. I'm sorry." Specifically confessed he never worked directly for Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, saying the outright lie was a poor choice of words, and saying that he had actually worked at a company that helped make capital introductions between clients and investors, including Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. Also admitting that he never graduated from any college and that he lied about owning 13 different properties, instead saying he actually owns no property and literally lives with his sister. Also of note, while he did confirm he was married to a woman, he said they divorced in 2017 and again asserted that he's now married to a man, saying, "I'm okay with my sexuality, people change, I'm one of those people who change." Though easily my favorite thing, I saved the best for last as far as things that he has addressed, is that Santos, a man who said he is a proud American Jew and was elected to lead a district that is 20% Jewish, said, "I never claimed to be Jewish, I am Catholic. Because I learned my maternal family had a Jewish background, I said I was Jewish." And even without, once again, reconsidering all the other things he lied about, I think you can say, him saying that he was embellishing his resume, that's not it. Though in the face of all of this, Santos is still defending himself and saying that it will not impact his ability to lead, and adding, "I campaign talking about the people's concerns, not my resume." But the counterpoint to that is something that should be on your resume is it's impossible for you to say 3 things without 2 of them being a lie. Like, I genuinely don't know if he has lived a life on this earth where he woke up, he went to sleep, and in between, he did not lie. Because every day, something else comes out. I mean, part of the reason we're even talking about this story is yet another lie has been reported, with the chairman of the Nassau County Republican Party saying that Santos had lied to him about being the star of a volleyball team of the college that he didn't attend, with that official saying,
"Told me, I remember specifically, I'm into sports a little bit, that he was a star on the Baruch volleyball team and that they won the league championship." And what can I tell you?
With a key thing here, that same official, along with other leaders of the whole county Republican Party, also calling on Santos to resign, saying that his campaign was one of deceit, lies, and fabrication. And that's one of the key reasons I'm covering it after all of this. We are now seeing the most concerted campaign to get Santos to step down from his post, and that's also coming from Republicans, including some of his key allies. Right, in addition to the party chair, 4 other newly elected congressmen from New York called on him to resign. And beyond that, just this week alone, 2 formal ethics complaints have been filed against him, one by Democrats in the House and another by a watchdog group with the FEC. And that's on top. We're just stacking this shit so high. He's also being investigated by both federal and local prosecutors, and Brazil has said it will reopen the fraud case concerning him. So there's a question of, will he eventually resign? But for now, he's refusing, and I wouldn't count on anything. With him doubling down in a tweet yesterday, and then of course, you have House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. he kind of couldn't care less. Right? Not only has he refused calls to boot Santos, he still plans to seat him on a congressional committee. With McCarthy telling reporters yesterday the voters elected him to serve and adding that Santos has to answer to the voters and the voters can make another decision in 2 years. And so where I'm going to leave this story is with 2 notes. The first is let this be a reminder that liars and cheaters never prosper, except literally always. And 2, you should never expect actual accountability when it comes to politicians and politics, because if you can distract everyone else with us versus them rather than the fucked up shit that you did, you can get away with it. And it's why you often see politicians kind of just try to deal with stuff until focus can go to something else, whether it be an issue that becomes national news or something more local like in LA, Kevin De Leon.
So look, there is lying, and then there is this man, George Santos. So he won an open seat after the incumbent ran for governor and then lost. Now here's the thing, after this dude was sworn in, that's when we learned everything about this guy. Like, he claimed he went to Baruch College, a public school with about 15,000 students, undergrad. He even said he got a 3.9, top 1% in his class. Then he told Joe Cairo, this man right here, the Nassau County GOP chair, the following. He said, Santos told me he was a star on the Baruch volleyball team and that they won the league championship. Good credentials. Here's the issue. He couldn't have done all those bump sets and spiking because he never attended Baruch College. So Greg Popovich, San Antonio Spurs, 5 NBA championships, tied for the 3rd most all-time in NBA history. Yeah, he had fun with it. He said, I was looking everywhere, the gym, everywhere at Baruch College for a picture of Santos. Couldn't find one. Thought maybe he would have played sports or something while he was there because that's where he went to school, right? He went to school there. I mean, the lies this man told are out of this world. He claimed to have lost 4 co-workers in the Pulse nightclub shooting. An investigation found that was a lie. He claimed his mother was Jewish and that his grandparents fled Schmatzi, Germany. That was a lie. He described himself as a proud American Jew. There's only one problem. He's not Jewish. Now, a lot of Republicans celebrated that he won because he became the first openly gay, non-incumbent Republican elected to Congress. I think love is love. You should love who you want, find yourself at any point in your life. But it is a little odd that he never disclosed that he was married to a woman for 5 years. Time magazine also reported that he founded Friends of Pets United, an animal rescue organization. See, now white women are going to be pissed at you, man. Just like Donald Trump lying about 9/11, George Santos did as well, claiming it took his mother's life. But then on December 23rd, he tweeted, that day marked 5 years since he lost his mother, which means she died in 2016. He also claimed he worked at Citigroup and Goldman Sachs. He didn't. Most importantly, the biggest question mark, where did he get $700,000 from to contribute to his own campaign when, in his previous run for Congress, that was his income? Where did this money come from? Because I tell you, the numbers ain't numbering George, if that's even your name, Anthony DeVolder. Oh yeah, he was also part of a Ponzi scheme that stole $17 million. But hey, the GOP, good vet.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Allow our men and women who are out there drilling responsibly with carbon capture technology that I've helped develop that fundraise for in my career. I've had a very extensive role in gas and oil in this country.
So he invented carbon capture technology. He's just busy.
But that's not even all of it. Is his name even really George Santos? Played for it.
So my name is Anthony DeVolder. I'm a New York City resident. I've recently founded a group called United for Trump, so if you guys want to follow, that would be awesome. My question's directed for both Blair and Brandon. Well, Brandon's an idol to all of us. Thank you.
So excuse my appearance. I'm sick. I feel like shit. But we need to talk about something in regards to George Santos. And I'm like, this is important. Okay, watch this video.
Folks, another important speaker, another congressional nominee, George Santos. George, who we know is a friend, and he's known as Anthony DeVolta to me. So I don't know where George Santos came into the thing, but that's what it says here. He's the Republican candidate for the New York 3rd Congressional District, running against Pelosi puppet Representative Tom Suozzi, who is facing some radical left-wing Democrats in a primary. George worked at Goldman Sachs and is currently at Leap Bridge Investor, where he quickly advanced to become one of the youngest vice presidents in the industry. That's very impressive.
It would be.
George. Anthony, whatever you are.
So here's someone who considers him a close friend who didn't know his name was George Santos. Now watch this video.
Yeah, we're the haters.
Oh, you gotta be here.
So my name is Anthony DeVolder. I'm a New York City resident. I've recently founded a group called United for Trump, so if you guys want to follow, that would be awesome. My question's directed for both Blair and Brandon. Well, Brandon's an idol to all of us. Thank you. You're welcome. But Blair, I have a question. How do you think that as a trans woman and a conservative, you can help educate other trans people from not having to follow the narrative that the media and the Democrats put forward? And how can Brandon incorporate that into Walkaway in more in depth?
Yet again, he's in a public setting and he's introducing himself as Anthony DeVolder. Why would someone who wants to have his name recognized on a large scale continue to use this, basically this alias? On this post, where I shit you not, is that his real face? He has himself listed as George DeVolder. Here he talks about getting AOC to resign and says some really gross things. Here he's now George Santos. Here he is with his new BFF, Kevin McCarthy, you know, being that his vote was the one that got him his Speaker of the House seat, which is why he won't fucking call him on his lies and bullshit. And here he makes a claim about a cyber attack on his campaign, as if maybe there's some nefarious shit going on with his finances during the 2020 run. Hey, New York police, was there ever a report filed? Just curious. But I say all this to say this. His name on the ballot was George Santos. If that's not really his legal name, he should be removed. And New York should demand to see his birth certificate and his license ASAP. Because this may have been fraud. So there's a very real possibility that his full name is George Anthony DeVolder Santos. I'm fully aware that many Hispanic families hold two names because they hold their mother and father's name, typically hyphenated. But then there's this interview.
My ties to the Ukraine are very vague.
Yeah, they don't
to the
exist.
point where my grandfather was born in Kiev and left in the late 20s and migrated to Belgium, where he met my grandmother and then started a family. But it's just very vague and faint. We don't carry the Ukrainian last name. For a lot of people who are descendants of World War II refugees or survivors of the Holocaust, a lot of names and paperwork were changed in name of survival. So I don't carry the family last name. That would have been Zabrowski. I carry my mother's maiden name was DeVolder, which is the Dutch side of the family, but there's not many.
So in 2015, he created this GoFundMe, and it was to raise funds for Ironbound Animal Rescue. Ironically enough, Ironbound Animal Rescue never saw any money from said fundraiser. Super strange. And you can see on his Facebook page where he does use all of his names in a sense. He says George A.D. Santos, so George Anthony DeVolder Santos. But the GoFundMe, he specifically put it under a name Anthony Zabrowski. The name he just used in this video, which we know has never been one of his legally carried names. I think the real issue here and why he's been doing the multiple aliases in different places, from social media to introductions to people, is less about him maybe not having those four names as maybe his legal birth name, and more about if you have enough names, it's hard to pin down the crimes that you are committing, the fraud that you are committing. Because if you're sharing a GoFundMe under your real name, and you're using a alias name that doesn't even exist in your family background, which has been proven from Ancestry.com apparently, the likelihood of you getting like charged or having that like associated is less likely. Criminals, mob people, shady characters do shit like this.
Congressman Santos, what is your response to those that are calling for you to resign?
I will not resign. I will be continuing to hold my office elected by the people.
How do you feel like you're able to serve your people?
So the man you saw closing the door is Vish Burra, a Steve Bannon henchman and leader of the New York Young Republican Club. It is an elitist fascist network nexus with strong ties to far-right foreign political parties. Burra is Santos' operations director now. Burra has been seen with Hungarian ambassador Gavin Wax. Here's them all having a sit-down. Wax was recently caught advocating for total war against the enemies of authoritarianism. A pro-Kremlin neo-Schnazi posted this. He's a hero. And here he is with Bolsonaro. So thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. This is Mrs. Fatima A.C.H. DeVolder. She was born on December 22nd, 1962, and she passed December 23rd, 2016. To be clear, this is 15 years after 9/11, despite his claims that 9/11 claimed her life. So then you read the actual obituary, and it states Fatima A.C.H. DeVolder was born on December 22nd, 1962, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to Paul and Rosalina DeVolder. Fatima entered into eternal rest on December 23rd, 2016, at Elmhurst Hospital in Elmhurst, New York. She was 64. She was not. Who the fuck wrote this? Beloved mother of George DeVolder, no Santos and no Anthony, and Tiffany DeVolder, may she rest in peace. Now, this also leads me to the GoFundMe that was created. I've shown this on a previous video to prove that he lied about her death, but now I want to, pay attention to the fact that, again, he is using different variants of his name to likely evade criminal charges and fraud. Anthony DeVolder is organizing this fundraiser on behalf of Anthony D. Santos. And if you scroll down and read the description, you'll see that he writes this in a third-person narrative as if he is not her son. In fact, he references Fatima left 2 children who were not working because she needed 24 hours of care, and now they need help in this delicate moment. Any donation amount is very appreciated. It was also stated that at the Catholic funeral service, not Jewish funeral service, just want to remind you about that lie too, that the priest stated he took a large collection for financial burdens that Anthony told them they needed the money for, and, gave it to Anthony in addition to this GoFundMe. I am really hoping that the people of New York, including the people that voted for him, demand an investigation, because you do not use this many variants of your name unless you are doing something illegal. He is doing something illegal still. You don't come up with $700,000 to donate to yourself when you weren't making more than $55,000 the year before. And even that has not been proven true. We don't even know if he had a fucking income. In 2016, he said he didn't have a job on this very GoFundMe he created. And yet he said he's been in the finance district for 11 years. He's lying about everything.
Just minutes ago, newly elected Republican Congressman George Santos, who has been under growing pressure to resign after lying about his job history, his education, his family heritage, said, after for several days saying simply no, he said he would resign under very specific circumstances. Take a listen.
What's your response to those that are calling for you to resign? I will not resign. I will be continuing to hold my office elected by the people.
Congressman, what's your reaction to members of your own party calling for your resignation?
Are
you planning to resign if the voters ask for you to resign? Will you resign if the voters want you to resign?
142 people ask for me to resign, I'll resign.
In response to that, Democratic Congressman Don Beyer tweeting, quote, pretty sure we can make that happen.
Some members of his own delegation, Republican members, even some incoming members, saying he simply cannot serve effectively, and he should start to listen to the calls from back home to step aside.
He's lost the confidence of people in his own community. So I think he needs to seriously consider whether or not he can actually do his job effectively, and right now it's pretty clear he can't.
I don't think there's any way he could possibly perform his duty, but the man's got to be honest with himself and his constituents, and it's just clear to me that he can't do his job.
So are you saying that he should resign?
There's no way I believe he can fully fulfill his responsibilities, and I think he needs to take that very seriously.
Now, they don't have an answer for Santos currently, but they have an answer for anyone who wants to try it in the future. Take a look.
Well, hey there, y'all. So in today's United Against Lies news, as I'm sure y'all know, this is George Santos, the freshman congressman from New York, seen here promising to tell the lies, all the lies, and nothing but the lies when he was sworn into Congress. We have seen so many stories debunking so many of his claims, from his finances to his previous jobs to his colleges to whether or not he was being investigated for fraud in Brazil. It just continues to keep piling on. But George has no shame. He was determined to take his ill-gotten seat, and he did. He was sworn in, and he is a duly elected member of Congress and refuses to resign. Of course, the House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, and other Republican leadership are not quick to tell him to resign. They just keep saying, well, he was elected by his constituents. There's really nothing we can do. They don't want to lose that very slim majority in the House, especially since George Santos flipped the seat from a Democrat. They're afraid that if he does resign, that a new election would put in a Democrat, shaving away that slim majority. But there are plenty of outspoken people, including most of the delegation from New York. All of these Republicans have called for Santos to resign, including 4 Republican congressmen from New York and Nancy Mace of South Carolina. And not just that, the Republican Party of Nassau County in New York has stated that they are calling for his immediate resignation and that his campaign was made up of deceit, lies, and fabrication. The chairman said he deceived voters. His lies were not mere fibs. He disgraced the House of Representatives. He's not welcome here at Republican headquarters. Even Republican New York state senators are calling for him to resign, saying that they want Kevin McCarthy to back them up. Any of Santos's constituents that call into his office will be redirected to Despacito's office. The New York Democrats, of course, are also on top of this. Dan Goldman and Richie Torres filed the Stopping Another Non-Truthful Office Seeker Act, which would require candidates running for a House or Senate seat to provide information about their educational background, employment history, and military service. It would also impose a $100,000 fine, 1 year imprisonment, or both if someone lied about their credentials. He's not going anywhere.
The one thing that keeps floating in my mind every time some new lie comes out about George Santos or whatever his name is what is he distracting us from? Because he's not stopping. Like, he has no shame. None. And if you remember, not this past election cycle, but the one previous to it, there was a gentleman, I believe he was running out of the state of Ohio, who lied about his military service and got reamed for it. Of course, he wasn't elected and all these different things. But that guy just faded to black. He just ghosted the world. George Santos is keeping it up. We have no idea where all of this money has gone. He's tried to cozy up to Matt Gaetz. There's photographs of him kikiing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's gotten in good with Kevin McCarthy. What is his end goal? What does he have going on, or what does somebody else have going on? And all of us are distracted looking at George. Like, I just have a sinking feeling. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just have a sinking feeling. Because the last time we had a ruckus, not even this bad, it was when Trump was lying about inconsequential things. We ended up in lockdown. Then we found out Trump was doing backdoor pardon deals and things like that. So what's about to come out? What is about to happen? Because between Trump and the documents and George Santos and Kevin McCarthy just being the Speaker of the House in name only, and we have congressmen and women who have no idea how the government works, we're going past hell. Not even in a full handbasket. Okay, we're going in an envelope. Madison Cawthorn, we discussed him yesterday. He is sulking. Nobody can find him. He didn't pass forward the information he's supposed to pass on to his predecessor. It I mean, he's associated with extremist groups. Remember when he was sworn in, he flashed a dog whistle sign. My worry is because we already found out that he did receive money from Russian oligarchs. Then there was some Italian money that came in. He admitted that he has loose ties to the Ukraine. Whew. All right, let's break up the George Santos stuff. Let's get into some royal news.
Listen, this 51-year-old woman said she slept with Prince Harry when he was 21 and she was 34.
I mean, what is he doing? But what is he doing? Is he being badly advised? What? I mean, look who he's with.
Yeah, and she is very influential. So if you were
manipulating,
yeah,
and controlling, and he's not the guy that I met. I know it was a long time ago, but I really definitely think that he's just not the person I met at all.
Way to say that you're racist and you're a groomer and you're upset that your grooming attempts didn't work and somebody else became Prince Harry's princess. Like, have you no shame? Ma'am, if what you're saying is true, one, Meghan is not going to get her panties in a bunch because that happened well before they knew each other. She's married to him, and it's obvious he adores her. But you mad because at a crispity crackly age, you was trying to get Harry to dust the cobwebs off. And now, that's not the person I met. Didn't seem like you met him. It seems like you serviced him. You gave him an oil change. What the? Yeah, but yeah, let's go to the second one.
You guys remember how Kate Middleton was upset about her daughter Princess Charlotte's bridesmaid's dress not fitting well or allegedly being, quote, ill-fitted? Well, the royal tailor to Meghan Markle's wedding is speaking out. Well, this is the dress in question, of course. Princess Charlotte looks iconic and beautiful, obviously. But here's what the tailor had to say. Quote, I don't know anything that went on before we were asked to come in, but there was clearly a misunderstanding or miscommunication, Mirapuri tells Page 6, adding that, quote, the brand that made the dresses has some of the highest standards in the world. That brand, of course, is Givenchy. You guys remember Prince Harry wrote that, quote, it wasn't a big shock that they might need altering considering Givenchy made them solely based on the girl's measurements. The then Duchess of Cambridge allegedly texted Meghan Markle expressing concerns about her daughter's frock. This, of course, is a gentleman. Ajay Mirapuri is his name, and he is the tailor. When Ajay was asked if he was aware of any of the drama between the two royal women, the high-end suit maker, whose business runs bespoke tailoring showrooms in London as well as Switzerland, said, quote, not at all. Everyone was very cooperative and in a good mood. They were contacted by a PA a few days before the wedding on May 14th, which is when they first went in. Quote, it took us 3 days and most of 3 nights, Mirapuri recalled, sharing that, quote, the level of alterations required for each dress. The tailor, who specializes in custom suits, often works with celebrities and high-level VIPs such as Matt Damon, and said that he would have been quite happy to stay behind the scenes of the incident.
Kate just wants to add stress and drama. She's miserable. Waity Katie did everything to become the Princess of Wales, forgetting that William is his father's son, forgetting that she could no longer be a whimsical free spirit, and never thinking that just because you have a title does not mean that you will be the center of attention, no matter how much the firm, aka the royal family, tries to throw anybody else under the bus to protect Camilla, Chucky, William, or Kate. People are going to love who they love. People are going to flock to who they're going to flock to. It's no different than a sports team that tries to market, their greatest player. Everybody's not going to be a fan of that greatest player. Everybody's going to like something different. You just got to rock with it. And let's not forget that when Harry and Meghan got married, William and Kate's daughter is not a teenager. She's still growing. So you start the dress off a little bit bigger to see if there's going to be a growth spurt, and then you take it in at the last minute. Same rules apply with virtually every, you know what? Lady Katie she just waiting on an ass whooping. She just waiting on an ass whooping. I'm waiting for somebody to come across the table at her. Now, remember earlier in the show, I told y'all we were going to circle back around to the onus being put on women thing. I'm going to play you a video from the father of Tory Lanez, the gentleman convicted and now sitting in prison for shooting Meg the Stallion. And then immediately after that, we're going to go into a social experiment that was conducted in the UK. You'll see how they tie together in just a moment. Just bear with me. I don't lead y'all astray. Just trust me, okay? Okay.
Come on. Just come listen to this right quick.
I'll right here and say this, and this might come as a shock to many of you. But guess what?
Guess what?
Both my son, myself, and others of our family have long decided that we are not going to hold any animosity against Megan Pete, aka Megan the Stallion. We forgave that girl long time ago.
So let me hold on. So you forgive Megan for your son shooting her. On to more important matters. How you bald with a hairline and a side part. And you just out here shining like a fresh wax. Pack it up.
There was a social experiment done in the UK where boys and girls were living separately. The boys were sequestered, the girls were sequestered for 5 days unsupervised. And the point of this social experiment was to talk about how boys and girls were socialized, because it is a known saying that girls are raised differently than boys. Like, boys get to just kind of do what they want, and girls are socialized to be caretakers. So this was what this experiment was about. This quote says, well, obviously all kids should be raised the same way. That is obvious, but it does not happen. So this is the boys section. The boys basically just devolved. One of the boys said, we never expected it to be like this. I'm really upset that we've trashed it so badly. Immediately, they start trashing the place. Their diet consists of sugar. And something about this experiment, they were taught some lessons on how to cook for themselves and how to live before they were just left in this house. They are still just eating sugar, and they are still just being aggressive and jacking up the house. You can see that they are still just tearing up the house, not cleaning up. This is just ongoing, what they've done for the duration of the time that they're there. And by the time that they ended this experiment, the house that the boys lived in was completely trashed. Now to the girls. The girls' house was completely different. And keep in mind, these are the same age range. They started out with baking. The girls did create a meal. You can see that they are eating as a house. They also delegated and had responsibilities for each girl. Obviously, when you cook and when you're kids, you make messes, but they organized and they still cleaned up after themselves. This is where they were delegating, and they had a chart set up for who was going to do what, and everybody was basically joining in and making this a team effort. The differences between the girls' home and the boys' home is pretty like metaphorical for what we see today. And the reason why this is important is because this shows that boys and girls need to both be socialized into doing things that help the household. Cooking, cleaning, those are all skills that you need to live just a human life. But it's typically the girls that are socialized to do the cooking and cleaning, and the boys are typically allowed to do whatever. Now, this is obviously just one experiment, but in talking to women, this is how the men act as adults. So you have to start young. Like, comment, share. Let's discuss.
Keep in mind, my following comments are not for all. So if it doesn't fly, let it apply. Don't start flooding me with, no, not me, not my son, not my brother, not my man. Good for you. But far too often, young boys are also raised lacking accountability, raised to believe that they are the prize to women, and that a woman not reciprocating their desires is wrong. Men are often raised that persistence is the key in all aspects of life. That, just wear her down. Y'all remember Family Matters? And the whole gag with Steve Urkel was that he was going to wear down Laura Winslow. That was some toxic shit. And see, this experiment and the disparities in how people raise their sons versus their daughters is what leads to situations like Tory Lanez, because Tory Lanez's family knew that he was out of control. They couldn't handle him anymore by the time he got to the age of 15, and they sent him away to live with another relative. So for them to be acting like this, it's like, oh, how dare she tell on him for the behavior we know he puts out into the universe. Yes, he should not be held accountable. He's a man. He should just be able to do what he wants. If you get hurt, it was your fault. You should have just moved quicker. Oh, and I have another example. Now, this is a combo one. This is going to put your thinking caps on, because there's some nuance to go into this. I call this the judge versus the cop. Listen closely.
Your Honor, we would move to revoke the defendant's bond at this time.
The judge orders a brief recess, perhaps hoping Pate's attorney can remind him he's already agreed to plead guilty. Back in court, the judge tries again.
Let's get back on the record and see if we can sort this out. At this point in time, what is Mr. Pate's decision with respect to his guilty pleas?
So I believe I'll just let him answer that question if it pleases the court.
All right. So, Mr. Pate?
Can I say a few things, or?
I need to understand what it is that we're doing here today, Mr. Pate.
Yes, I had every intention of coming in here today and entering a guilty plea. It's difficult for me to enter a guilty plea for a lot of reasons, and I don't want this court to think that I am trying to minimize any responsibility that I had in this situation that occurred.
The problem is Pate doesn't agree with the assault charge and believes the prosecutor only added it because of Pate's position as sheriff and because Pate rejected an earlier plea deal.
I feel like I'm being very much bullied into doing something that's not right. And I want this court to know that Todd Pate holds himself responsible for everything that he did. But it's hard for me to lay down and plead to felony charges that don't apply.
By this point, the judge has heard enough.
Is it your intention today to enter this guilty plea?
And if I could address...
This is either a yes or no. Are you going to enter your plea or not?
I guess everybody thinks it's funny. Let me just plea and get it over with for everybody. Plea to something that I absolutely do not feel good about, but I don't want you to try to send me to the penitentiary for years and years. If you can sleep with it, I can sleep with it.
Pate's attorney looks frustrated, while the judge is fed up with Pate's flip-flopping.
I think we're done. At this point in time, I think we're done. Where I think we are today is that on the one hand, the Commonwealth can enforce the terms of this agreement based on the execution. Mr. Pate, I'm talking at this point in time.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
At this point in time, I'm going to sustain the Commonwealth's motion to revoke his bond. He will be taken into the custody and housed in the Breckinridge County Jail.
Your Honor, if I may speak to Mr. Chambers' motion to revoke the bond.
I've already ruled. I've already ruled at this point in time.
Ma'am.
We're done at this point in time. He's going into jail today.
Yeah. See, adulthood does not magically change who somebody is. They're not going to magically become accountable because they turned 18, 21, 29, 30, 40. Now, as we learned last night on last night's show, Lisa Marie Presley, excuse me, passed away. Now I'm going to show a clip, and hopefully y'all will stop doing this. And if you see someone doing this regarding anyone, shut them down immediately.
It's safe to say that it is now standard practice where whenever a celebrity dies at a relatively young age, or if an athlete collapses on the field, conspiracy theorists on the right will waste no time blaming it on the vaccine. We saw it with Damar Hamlin, now we're seeing it with Lisa Marie. They don't even know if Lisa Marie was vaccinated, but that's irrelevant to them. She went into cardiac arrest and died at age 54. Her father suffered a heart attack and died at age 42. Her grandmother Gladys, Elvis's mom, suffered a heart attack and died at age 46. Gladys had brothers who all died in their 40s because of heart problems. Wow, I didn't realize that vaccine side effects were retroactive, intergenerational. So yeah, most likely it's genetics. But hell, you could even blame a broken heart because Lisa Marie's son took his own life 2 years ago. Or if you're prone to conspiracy theories, she was a Scientologist, wasn't she? I'll tell you what is the most mind-boggling to me. They're eager to blame the COVID vaccine on all of these deaths, yet when an anti-vaxxer allegedly dies from COVID, they have nothing to say.
Yeah, see, when anti-vaxxers die of COVID, it's just thoughts and prayers and GoFundMes. No talk of anything else. And the sickest part is that their friends and family members that are also anti-vaxxers, in many instances, will continue the lies. I'm not going to call it disinformation. I'm not going to call it misinformation. It's flat out lies. But every time somebody suffers anything, it's the vaccine. It's the vaccine. It's never the disease. It's the vaccine. Oh, and one little caveat. Please stop referring to Damar Hamlin's situation as a miracle. Proper protocol was taken. Proper protocol was used. He received expedient, proper medical attention. When he got to the hospital, they did what they were supposed to do, what's tried, true, and proven. A miracle was after he, lost consciousness, he just shook it off himself and got up and walked off. Stop saying that, because it gives false hope to other people and it diminishes the science that actually saves people's lives. This is part of the reason why so many tyrannical evangelical Christians are now anti-vaxxers. And they think they can pray everything away. When my mother was dying, I cannot tell you the amount of people that wanted to come to the house because they thought that if we just got enough people together, they would pray the cancer out of her body. Y'all couldn't pray slavery away. Miss me with that bullshit. Now, if you've been on either of the T's, Twitter or TikTok, then you are familiar with Chef Way and his anti-Black woman bullshit and him being called out for it because he's trying to rebrand himself and market himself to Black women. Now, what some of you may not know is that Chef Way he may call himself a chef, but he's actually a prosecuting attorney. Well, it looks like the DA's office, they like, that's my man. I'ma stand by him. Don't believe me? Just watch.
Harris County District Attorney is standing by a prosecutor whose deleted tweets disparaging Black women have recently resurfaced.
Wayman Wesley made the post in 2015 and 2016 before he joined the DA's office in 2021. ABC 13's Brianna Connor joins us live to explain what his supporters are saying in response to his calls for his termination. Brianna.
Those supporters are right here in the DA's office where Wayman Wesley is known as a prosecutor. But online, hundreds of thousands of his followers know him as the social media chef. The outrage over these old tweets disparaging dark-skinned and full-figured Black women have led to him losing partnerships with culinary brands. But a former U.S. district judge that I spoke with says the consequences should not end there.
Hey, what's up, guys? I blew the rent money on oxtails, so let's make a pasta with caramelized shallots and chanterelle mushrooms.
Wayman Wesley's oxtail pasta recipe has more than 33,000 likes, but many of his followers have less of a taste for previous Twitter posts disparaging Black women. That account has been deleted, and part of the pinned post under the account he uses now says, quote, "I am deeply sorry. That was a moment in my life where I was sick in more ways than one."
Not just implicit bias.
Former U.S. District Judge Vanessa Gilmore says considering his position as a prosecutor, an apology isn't enough.
It's not that he doesn't deserve forgiveness. He just does not deserve to be in a place that, one, shows that he may not be able to be fair in terms of his own decision-making process, and two, where it disparages and undermines people's confidence in the justice system.
District Attorney Kim Ogg disagrees. She released a statement calling the tweets inappropriate and offensive, but acknowledged that Wesley has gone through treatment to resolve his issues. Part of it says, quote, "His recovery is ongoing. I am a believer in second chances." The backlash online has been less forgiving. Culinary companies say they have cut ties with him because he does not share their core values and they do not condone his past behavior. Gilmore, who spent much of her career combating bias in the justice system, says Wesley's consequences should extend to the courtroom, where she questions how fairly he can make decisions about the demographic he disrespected.
It shows you what their implicit bias might be when it comes to other important decisions, such as charging decisions, which the prosecutors have a lot of discretion over, such as whether they're going to charge somebody, and particularly with respect to things like what kind of sentence they might recommend.
On Friday, civil rights groups plan to hold a demonstration in front of the DA's office calling for Wesley's firing. He has not responded to our requests for an interview. In Houston, I'm Brianna Connor, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Now, before you run to blame his mama, when he still had the account up, the first Twitter account, because when he decided to rebrand, he didn't just do a dirty delete of the tweets. He did a dirty delete of the entire account. His mother took to Twitter to say that she didn't raise him that way, that, that's not what their family stands on. The sister came to Twitter and confirmed what the mother was saying. Now, the mother did say that she's divorced from his father And she made a point of saying that there are two parents. So he may get this from his father. But let me explain something to you. You do not become pro-Black woman and let go of your anti-Black woman stance. You don't let go of misogynoir from cooking soul food. You don't just change with no work, no effort, no energy, no nothing. No, he just realized who the greatest demographic would be now that, you know, he wanted sponsorships and deals and he was blowing up on TikTok. And he made a statement on Twitter and Twitter alone. He has a bigger following on TikTok. He has not addressed it on TikTok. Him and his girlfriend are just deleting comments and turning comments off and, you know, blocking people that are telling the truth. And evidently there's one young lady that he came after so hard because he was promoting violence against Black women. He was one of we as Black women, we can deal with the racist trolls. We know about the white supremacist groups and the hate that they're going to give us. What stokes the most fear in us are the Black men that support hate against us, that troll us so hard because they're within the community. They know how to hit us in the gut. They know how to get to us. No, Black people are not a monolith, but let's face it, we're only a few degrees of separation away from one another. So yeah, he really shouldn't be trying to figure out how to charge or prosecute Black women in any manner. His bias is known. He's ordering white meat at KFC. Now this next one, we gonna have some fun for the rest of the night. This was sent to me and it was just labeled "what the fuck." So we gonna see.
The Fault in Our Stars came out 11 years ago today.
Hi, John. Congrats on 11 years with Fault in Our Stars. Your book actually completely changed my life twice, and it's the weirdest way possible. Let me tell you more about it. Your book came out in 2012, but I actually didn't know anything about the story until 2014 when the movie came out. At the time, I was married to someone who was dying of terminal bone cancer. She had only a few months left to live. And so it was a very poignant story, but as I'm watching the movie, I'm realizing that almost identical to the story plot is my wife's life. We hadn't known each other for very long before we got married because she was dying of cancer, and I thought this is just too close. So I went back, read your book, and even the phrases that you used, she would use on the daily. So it was your story that inspired her to fake terminal bone cancer, but it was also your movie from that story that gave me the first alarm bells to prove that she was lying to me about having terminal bone cancer. Don't worry, she's still alive and well today, but I guess thank you. Anyway, congrats.
Okay. I see why the person sent me that and labeled it "what the fuck." Damn. Damn. Did it? Damn. Okay. That's all. I did not see that coming. Wow. I mean, how was this woman gonna explain her not dying? Or was she gonna pull a girl gone? Like, Well, there is a discourse happening on the internet regarding interracial relationships because of a movie. You know what? Just take a look. We'll come back. We'll talk about it.
Okay, let's watch this trailer, and then we're going to get into the discourse that's literally unfolding on Twitter.
Okay, but you're not getting 5 stars.
Uber driver.
I mean, honestly, you guys are twins.
Oh my God, wait, she really does look like me.
This is insane. Let me make it up to you.
You're dating a Black girl?
I've never felt so understood by somebody in my entire life.
Whether you like it or not, we kind of go together now.
You're my boo, come on. So they hate me.
Can you honestly say that your family is excited to have my black ass in the picture?
Oh my gosh, you are so beautiful.
I like your braids.
Thank you.
Exhibit had braids. We've built a pretty awesome life together. We just need to protect it. Are you past the potatoes?
Our people came here. How this is gonna work.
Bro.
Okay, so Kenya Burst is putting this movie out with Jonah Hill and Lauren London. Now, I think the movie looks cute. It's a rom-com. You got it. But let's get to Twitter. So as soon as I watched that trailer, I came across literally hundreds of tweets like this. This person starts off and says, "Why are people saying it's unbelievable for Lauren London to be in a relationship with Jonah Hill? I love him and would most definitely go on a date with him. It's not always about looks. That's why y'all's relationships don't work." Child. Now this person says, "Now some of y'all acting like it's weird to see Lauren London and Jonah Hill as a believable couple. I know y'all done seen some couples on TikTok before." It's the Beyonce meme. It's the Beyonce meme. Then we got some tweets like this, and someone says Jonah Hill and Lauren London has to be the most random, unhinged romantic pairing I've ever seen. I know y'all picked those two names out of a hat. The next tweet says, "The same exact movie with Bernie Mac and Ashton Kutcher, LOL. And why did they think that Eddie Murphy and Nia Long were going to be believable as Lauren's parents? I love everyone in this movie, but Kenya Barris needs to be arrested." And this is the final tweet that had me going. Says, "I suspend my sense of reality most times when I watch movies, but Jonah pulling Lauren London in an Uber? That's just a bridge too far. Y'all asking for too much." Now, if you're not familiar with Kenya Barris, he is the producer who gave us the show Blackish. He also gave us a couple of other of those spin-off shows. I can't remember the names. It's like something-ish, Blackish, Youngish, something-ish, something like that. But I imagine that this is going to be the discourse all over Twitter today because people just cannot conceptualize the fact that Lauren London and Jonah Hill are in a movie together and it's a rom-com. But tell me what y'all think.
I think a bunch of people need to go touch grass. People have gotten too comfortable with the cultivated Instagram couples, the online couples, the people who, whether they like each other, whether they're really in relationships that have these staged how we met stories, these staged pictures, especially interracial couples that make their whole online personalities their relationship. And you're like, "Oh, she's so beautiful. He's so handsome. I see why they got to get." That is not the reality of dating. And everybody has had a relationship that started from weird circumstances that if you looked at them together, you're like, I don't see how that works. But when you talk to them, you're like, "Oh, okay, I get that. That's it." Because I promise you, my dating history, if I lined everybody up, and if you just looked at them, you would be like, she's lying. But then when you spoke to them, you would be like, "Oh, okay, I get. Like, let's get back to the reality of things. Most couples, period, interracial, intraracial, they are not supermodels. And stop basing somebody's worth and if they're going to be a good husband, a good wife, a good partner, unattainable by what they look like. Because how many attractive people are broke? And by broke, I'm not just talking about financially. I'm talking about broken as a person, broke when it comes to intellect. The only thing that they have to offer you is a pretty face and a nice body. That's it. Like, geez, Louise. And some of y'all need to look at your parents. They're like, "He pulled her in an Uber." Chronically online. That's all I have to say about that. Now let's get into some funny.
Let me tell you something, bitch. I've been carrying y'all's asses for 50 years. Here's the thing, bitch. If that was just cap, I wouldn't even be tripping. But you believe that with your whole soul, bitch. Bitch, Jennifer Lopez, Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, Taylor fucking Swift, they're all just trying to be me. Yeah, except for the fact that they're not literal fucking pigs. See, Ralph, I usually don't fuck you up because I don't want to be cruel to dogs because then Sarah McLachlan would be on my shit. But I'ma have to make an exception, bitch. Hey guys, we're on in 5 minutes. Bitch, shut the fuck up! Well, there goes my smile. Bitch, I know y'all didn't forget about me. Bitch, if you don't get your Fred Sanford going to church looking ass out of here, like for real, bitch, don't you have a chicken to fuck? You know what? Fuck all of you fake ass bitches. Bitch, I'm Kermit the Frog. Okay. I mean, that's pretty much it, bitch. I ain't really got anything else to say. I'm Kermit the fucking Frog, okay? I'm Beyonce. Y'all are Kelly Rowland and that other bitch. I don't even know her name. Damn, that was savage as fuck. Bitch, when we get home, I want you to clap my cheeks. I mean, that was already finna happen, bitch, so okay. Ha ha. Waka waka. That is not your slogan, bitch!
I guess that's why they don't tour anymore. Oh, Lord. Okay. Whew, all right, here we go. Why do I keep accepting videos from y'all? Why? Here we go. This is what happens when you sleep all day and then decide to get up and do a show. Here we go. Here we go.
I don't really want a divorce, but I can't live like this any longer. My husband is training to become a priest, which is his dream. He spends his days caring for others. People freaking love him. His superpower is bringing comfort to the afflicted. Great, right? Except we don't get that guy at home. We get the guy who will mute himself on a prayer meeting and scream at us to stop laughing so loud. My daughter is recovering from being abused by her coach very badly, not going to detail, but he broke her spine and she has enough internal damage that she can't have children. She has complex PTSD, but she is getting great help and is trying to heal. The other day she was having a hard time and was sobbing in the bathroom. I was sitting with her, waiting for it to pass. My husband decided she was being too loud, barged in the bathroom, and yelled that if she didn't calm down he was going to call the police to take her away. I physically blocked him from grabbing her. I completely lost my shit and got in his face, yelling for him to get out and don't touch her. I told him I would divorce him if did not get help. He denied being angry and told me that as a mental health professional, he was only doing what any therapist would do. A priest is not a trained mental health professional. And no, they would not. He always denies his angry outbursts. In therapy he gets a surprised Pikachu face who me. I'm it angry. That's crazy. He also had abandoned all family and household responsibilities to me. He hasn't taken his daughter to a doctor's appointment since she was an infant. Even though I work full-time, care for our broken daughter full-time, and have a chronic illness myself, he does nothing. He will do his own laundry if I don't, and will occasionally go to the dump. That's it. He literally leaves wrappers and other trash down wherever he is for me to throw out. And yet he claims to love us. To any therapist or outsider he is the wonderful kind man who helps everyone. They don't know it us at the expense of our own family. I am just so done. And sad. He wasn't like this when we married.
Sweetheart, yes he was. Yes, he was. He just wanted to make you comfortable enough that he could use you for PR. And before people ask, yes, priests can be married as long as they are married before they are ordained into the priesthood. They just cannot get married after. But yes, sweetheart, he's most certainly always been that way. He just needs a good PR family. It's no different than men who are climbing the corporate ladder, and right before they become, senior executives or whatever, all of a sudden they swoop up a wife. They're the same ones that'll pay for escorts just to go to company functions with them because they know the aesthetic will help push them forward. He just needs the aesthetic. Everybody already believes that he's such a great guy, and the more you keep putting up with it and biting your tongue and not telling anybody, the longer he's going to get away with it. Until somebody that he's taking care of pisses him off, and it's the same cycle. A narcissist is going to be a narcissist. And a lot of them will go into arenas where they seem like they're a savior to so many people. And they're not. They'll present themselves very curated. That's why I get a weird tingling in my spine when I see someone never make a misstep. Like they always have to be perfect Patty for everything. Their life is never off schedule. They're never upset. You know, the type of people that are like, oh, those things don't bother me. I don't do drama. I don't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're going home and bippity boppity booping you on the head. And I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm being so for real. But as always, thank you for joining me here for Freeform Fridays on Conversations with Taz. Do keep in mind this Sunday, there will not be a show. Playoffs. My team will be playing at 8:15. So, yeah. But I will see you all on Monday. And here's our final video for the night. And as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Your girl going back to sleep.
To the left. Take a step of faith. Pray once this time. On the devil, let's stomp. On temptation, let's stomp. Bible slide real smooth. Now praise and shout. Woo!